If your soil is hard red clay and you can't garden it very well, you might try this. So I'm in the process of planting these 12 Cherokee Purple tomato plants. I just wanted to show you how when this tomato plant gets to be a little taller and it starts growing, I will hook this string onto the bar above and clip this tomato clip onto the tomato plant to hold it upright. And as the tomato plant continues to grow, I continue putting these clips on the string, and the string just holds the tomato plant up. So why Cherokee tomato plants? How come? Well, I don't know. You look at them and you tell me. Okay, so I've just finished planting these watermelons. This is a little early in the season. I've had some terrific watermelon patches in the past. And yeah, this is a little early, but I've got really good mulch that's disintegrating really well and composting really well. Yes, it came right out of my garden. Yum. So after planting the watermelons, I've planted a dozen tomato plants, all heirloom. I have Rutgers, 6 of them, and 6 celebrity. I have never grown either one of those. Don't know how they're going to turn out. So I just planted yellow squash. Yes, it's a little early in the season, but I can always replant. And from our garden last year, spaghetti squash, I saved the seeds and I planted these 2 rows, one a little bit longer than the other one. By the way, I still have spaghetti squash that I harvested last year, about 10 months ago. And so these keep really well, and that's what I got my seeds from. And I just love spaghetti squash. I found these sweet potatoes in the pantry. They were sprouting and always on just one end. So I broke off the ends that weren't sprouting, and I'm gonna take these and I'm gonna put them in some moistened soil, potting soil, and I need the sprouts. And if the sprouts do okay, then I'll go ahead and plant them. All you need is the stems, and plant the stems. And then you can have sweet potatoes. These came, by the way, from my garden last year, and they're a really high quality sweet potato, and so I'll just give it a shot. Have nothing to lose. Okay, this is April 15th. Decided I'd go ahead and get a determinate tomato plant, one that only grows to bush height, and it's called Better Bush. Never grown these before, but wanted to have one determinate plant with all the others that I have that are indeterminate. We'll see how it goes. Still April 15th, and this is a kiwi, and it is one that does not need to have a pollinator. It can take care of itself, and it grows to about the size of a large grape. It's smooth skinned, and my son Joshua got these for me. Gonna try these out. Gonna put them someplace where they'll have a trellis system when they grow up, and that'll be cool. These are thornless blackberries that my friend gave to me last year. I planted them. They've had 1 year of growth, and they're coming up real nice, and they'll grow across this trellis as well. This is my Fuyu persimmon tree. It has been great. Treated us really well. This is April 15th, and let's see. Can you see all of the fruit on this tree? Look at those little guys right there, and everywhere you see something like that, and it is loaded. This is my Fuyu persimmon tree. Love these persimmons. Yeah, these Fuyu persimmons are great, and this tree has been a great producer for us, even though it's a small tree. Love these persimmons. Okay, April 15th. These are my muscadines, and they'll be ripe in August and September, and they're already setting fruit, and we will have plenty of them because I've got this, what is about 125-foot row, and I've got 2 of those rows, so we'll have plenty of wonderful, delicious muscadines. These are muscadines from last year. When they get black like this and soft, they are so very sweet. Okay, April 15th. This is my fig tree. Got froze out a little bit a couple weeks ago, but it's putting on lots of fruit. And I've had this thing for, I don't know, 15, 20 years. I keep cutting it back every year, but produces delicious brown turkey figs. I gotta say, fresh figs are delicious. Okay, April 15th. This is a blueberry bush. This is the one that puts on first, and these are large and sweet, and one of the many blueberry bushes that we have. And I cut them all back, pruned them up really good. This bush right here, you couldn't even see through it, and already it's putting on so much growth. And but just look at this. I mean, look at all of these blueberries that we have on here. Awesome. We'll be eating blueberries for 2 to 3 months. Vicky would go out every morning, day after day for weeks, and harvest these blueberries. She would can them and freeze them, and they're just great to have those around. I would go out there every day, and I would eat handfuls of them. I mean, every day. April 15th, this is our mulberry tree. We have, quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 mulberry trees, and if you haven't had mulberries, they're like a blackberry without seeds, and they're sweeter and milder, and oftentimes the frost or the cold will wipe them out in the early spring, but they are great. Mulberry trees will grow 30 to 40 feet tall, making it very difficult to get the mulberries. So what I've done is I've topped the trunk of this tree, and then I put weights, or I pegged down the limbs so that they would grow more horizontal to the ground. And that way, as the tree gets older, we'll be able to access these mulberries. Neat, huh? April 15th, one of our pomegranates, pomegranate tree, putting on fruit. I cut this back last year, pruned it real good, and it produced more pomegranates than it had ever produced before. So I think that was helpful. It's a pecan tree. I air layered it, Marcotted it last year, put it in the ground, and look at it. It's taken off. It's got a good root system. It's going to survive this process. Okay, so in a nutshell, marcotting is where you can entice a tree limb on a tree to produce roots while it's still on that tree. And once you've done that, and this is what I've done here, I packed it with soil and let it go 2 or 3 months. After you do that, you check it out, and here is the root system that's growing on that from that tree. I'll then go ahead and take that, I'll pot that plant, and you can see that I have here, there are 3 little plants that I have here. A pecan, a mulberry, and a fig that I successfully marcotted and planted this year, and they're growing and doing fine. April 15th, this is our tallest mulberry tree that we have. Planted this about 5 years ago, and it had thousands of mulberries on it until we got a hard freeze a couple weeks ago, and that killed them all off, and so it's putting back on new leaves. All the leaves were killed off, and don't know if it's going to be able to produce any fruit, but we know it's an awesome producer. April 15th, okay, I grafted one of my Fuyu persimmons into this American persimmon rootstock. I've done this multiple times. I'm hoping to produce more of the Japanese persimmon trees that I already have. We'll just have to see if these grafts take. April 15th, this is one of those itchy persimmon trees that I got from the nursery. Planted it last year. Didn't get going until very late in the season, but it looks like it's got a good root system now. April 15th, this is a Fuyu persimmon that I got last year and planted. It took forever to get going, but it looks like it has a good root system now. It's putting on leaves, and I wouldn't doubt, but this year or next year, it'll be producing fruit. We'll see. It's a blueberry plant, and it was dying. The whole thing was dying off. I pruned it back really well and mulched it really good, and you can see that it's putting on quite the berries here, and I think that it's going to just come back to life and do really well. April 15th, these are the chives that my wife planted. I cut them back to the ground every year. They come back. They have an onion type flavor, a sweet, mild onion type flavor, and are probably good in certain salads. April 15th, I just wanted to show you this mulch stuff that I had. Dory, a friend of mine, she brought in this mulch in big trucks, lots of different truckloads. And I asked her to bring wood chip mulch that was already disintegrating, was in a state of decomposition, and we just put this on the yard. Horrible grass, weed problem. I kept it mowed all the time, but it just red clay. And so when I had to drop this stuff down, it doesn't take long for this to decompose, if you're talking in terms of maybe a year or two, but it's got all kinds of good stuff in it that will help plants to grow. You've got to feed your plants. You can't just put them in there, and I don't just feed them, you know, the 3-in-1 stuff. They need a lot more than that. And so I don't use fertilizers or pesticides. It's all totally organic. And I think that this is something that everybody ought to consider, is just getting some of this wood chip mulch. and it will disintegrate. Even if it's new, over time it'll disintegrate, and it'll decompose, and it'll be good nutrients for your soil. So just one of the secrets, or I guess one of the things that you need to consider. I mean, how many weeds do I have here? Look at this. How many weeds? Now, truthfully, I've gone maybe throughout the winter and part of the spring a little bit. I've seen some grass and some weeds come up. I just go and pull them out. And you know, I can't get my tiller started. It's about 30 years old, but I didn't need it. All I did was I took this fork and I just went, and it's so easy to move, just to go down and to move the stuff off, the mulch off, and get down to the dirt. And then I get down to the dirt a little bit, and of course include into that, mix it up a little bit, just some of the decomposed mulch, and then plant my stuff. And I just think it's a lot less work. And I'd have my tiller out here every day, or every 3 or 4 days or a week, and I'd be tilling up between the rows of veggies so that I could control the weed problems, and then I have to pull weeds in between. And this is just so much easier. Yeah, it does take a little bit of labor. If you don't mind labor, when I spread it out, she would dump in her truck, try to spread it out with the truck a little bit, but I would get in there, and I enjoy that. I'm 70 years old, and I really need to have the activity. I need to stay physically active, and this is helping me. When you're eating fresh fruits and veggies all the time out of your garden with no pesticides, that helps. I go out and jog and walk and stay active that way. And so I think this is just part of having a healthy lifestyle. So anyway, this is what I do, and I really enjoy doing it. And this doesn't take up all of my time. I also carve bears with a chainsaw. And I use that, the money that I make from that, to buy things like this for the garden, or to go down to Edisto Beach and camp and fish for a while. April 15th, you're looking at my kale. I planted this last kind of late in the fall, but it survived the winter. And that's amazing too, that it would survive those cold winters and snow and everything else. But I've been eating kale now for months. And one of the things I might have shown you already is that when you come to kale, when it starts to go to seed like this, pick those things off and eat them. They're good. They taste great. And I didn't know that. I thought, oh my goodness, they're gone to weed or gone to seed and can't do anything with them. But boy, these are, I include this in everything I eat when it comes to greens. Okay. So I'm no special gardener. I just throw things in the ground. I started off like most people do, threw a couple plants in the ground, see if I could get them to grow. I had 6 successes and no successes, but you just keep doing stuff and realize that plants need to be fed. And the more organic the matter, the better. My garden and my trees are all totally organic, no pesticides whatsoever. I tried growing a lot of fruit trees when I first moved into this property. I have 1 2/3 acres. Most of them died off. They were peaches, cherries, plums, pears, but they really needed to be have pesticides and stuff on them, and I wouldn't do that, and they died off. So now I only plant those kinds of trees and bushes and plants that do not need pesticides. Just everything's organic, and that's the way I want it. And it tastes so much better that way. All right.